This week on RSBANDB Update, Necromancy's Ritualist outfit comes to the store, Porcelain is affected by tool perks, and old wilderness limitations are removed. But most importantly, farming turns 20. We look at where it sits today in-game, both for experience and the economy. This is RSBANDB Update, episode 1045, recorded Thursday, July 10th, 2025. Sowing a skill. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us for another episode of RSBANDB Update. This week is Summer Patch Week, but it also marks the 20th anniversary of the farming skill being added into the game. As people who listened to our 20th anniversary a month ago might have been aware. But we'll get into what all that means in just a moment. But Tanis, you're here. Welcome aboard.
Thank you, Shane.
And Pernasius, everyone's second favorite Australian, is here as well.
He is, and happy birthday to Shane's favorite skill.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the patches, of course, but we're also going to go into farming, have a look back at its launch, what it did for the game, and look at how the farming economy has evolved over the years, how we train the skill, and what it means for RuneScape today. So if you want to follow along, full show notes can be found over at update.show. Friends chat can be found in-game at BitsBytes, and we also have a community Discord over at update.show/Discord. But I'd be remiss if I did not give a big, huge thank you out there to our experienced tier Patreon members, for whom, without, we could not do this podcast this week. That's Amos Reed, Bladecom, Dominic R., Jason S., Jesse W., Kesky, Lemon Lodge, Luminos, Ricky A., Runestar, RRManNZ, Cyoaces, Snail Mage, The Naked Captain, and Tim. Thank you so much, everybody. You'll be hearing more about our Patreon offerings a little bit later in the podcast. But let's just start with the patches this week. And I want to start with, I think, the one that is actually new content in the game, and that is that the Necromancy Ritualist outfit is finally available in-game outside of the Grim Harvest Treasure Hunter promotion. This is the one that gives you 1% per piece worn, with an extra 1% for the full set, and then the mask bit provides a 5% chance to save focus objects when performing rituals. This came out in October of last year, and it's taken a while for it to finally get here.
Yeah.
I've always said, anything sort of up to a year, I'd be happy with if they held on to it for that. So 9 months is not too bad, and it's a good outfit, obviously, for the extra percentage, but it's not a game-breaking one. I mean, rituals are so fast.
We were
anyway.
talking about this last night, and with how quick you can get Necromancy XP, especially at the higher levels, it's like, do you really need this when doing rituals? That's kind of the question.
Exactly.
Around it.
Well, when everyone was talking about that, I kind of thought, must not be all that great. But I mean, it doesn't sound really that different than. I mean, it's the same. What, 5%? So
6 with the full set.
6%.
Yeah. So,
the 5%
you're still going to use it rather than not.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah. And that's what I mean. It's not like it's a game breaking. It's just that nice little extra percentage.
And I mean,
so
if you're doing rituals, it makes sense to just have it for the extra XP, because you're not going to have anything else on your character when you're there for that. So to unlock this, you talk to Austin, and the catch for this is that you need to be carrying a Ghost Impling Jar and have 68 Necromancy to unlock his shop. Then we get to the cost. Each piece is 1,500 ectoplasm. So that's
fair deal.
Yeah, that's 7,500 for the entire set. And then the add-on piece is another 2,500 on top of that. So 10,000 in total for the entire set. And I don't know. It's not burning a hole in my pocket to go spend this.
So here's the one little. I'm not going to use the word Shane. I know you're thinking, but there's
I don't
one
know
little
what
thing.
word you're thinking. Humor me.
There's one little thing that bugs me with this.
What word is it?
It bugs me. It's bug. It's an annoyance.
What's the word?
It's one of those Canadian words that you use. It's a yeah.
A niggle?
Yes, it's that.
That's actually a British one that I picked up, but okay.
Oh, okay. Well,
I was going to say we use that down here.
I've only heard it from Shane. So, anyway, it doesn't. I feel like all the outfits should come through Invention the way that the other ones do for consistency.
But those are elite, though, aren't they? Primarily.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
The elite ones come through Invention. The normal ones, yeah.
The normal ones are game content, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
like you don't get a fishing bonus with the elite fishing outfit. You've got to get it through fish flingers to get the extra percentage. The mining outfit
on top of the shark suit.
Yep.
Really?
Yep. The shark suit. Yeah. Yeah. Basically, those suits will take the percentage. If you own the basic outfits, they'll take that percentage and apply it to the suit, but you have to own the outfit first.
I guess I didn't realize that because I've owned all
because that's the
originals.
thing. We just got fed these things through Treasure Hunter over the years.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
And the other two things I want to say with this is that in order to be able to purchase the head add-on piece, you need to capture 70 of the moths when doing invention, or not invention. God, you guys got me on the invention bandwagon. When doing necromancy at the ritual site, that's the other thing.
Death's Head moths.
Yeah, death shed.
Yeah, well, they Death's Heads. Yeah,
Death's Head moth. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that these outfit pieces will be available in the DXP store for the DXP after the August one because of the experiment happening in the August one. So we fast forward to November this year. Just AFK. Just AFK for your entire 48 hours of DXP, and you'll probably have more than enough tokens if you don't know what to do with them, like me, to buy them for it. So that's probably what I'm going to do on my main to pick up the last of the sets, is just to use the DXP store when that comes back.
I unlocked it on the main when I with the harvest last year. So
yeah, and that's the other thing I wanted to talk about with this is that outside of Christmas, that was the last time that I bought keys, was for this promo.
Oh.
And I'm not, based on the fact it came back and the RNG that was associated with that, I'm not doing that again for a skilling outfit ever. What was that for? Burn.
Spending keys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, just in terms of what I got and what I'm still waiting for, I mean, it should have just waited. But anyways, that's a me problem there. And just to recap on the modified Ritualist mask set for the headpiece, grants a 5% chance to not use up the focus object. So I was thinking about this too for our group Iron Man stuff. When it comes time to insoling all that cloth that you've gathered from Krill, maybe you should have this.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Because could you imagine?
That's a nice little add-on.
Could you imagine if you're able to save even just one or two pieces of cloth with how much of that we're gonna need?
Yeah.
So that's that. Once per day, you can also receive up to 5 buckets of slime from it, and once per day, you can also spawn the Death Shed moths as well. So that's what that does. If anybody wanted a recap on that, so I just thought that was the interesting timing to bring that in, given the fact we're approaching 2 years since Necromancy came out. It'll be 2 years next month. So,
Wow.
but that's the one big thing in the patch notes this week. We'll move on to the other stuff right now that was there. Going back to 110 crafting again, believe it or not. When spinning Masterwork thread, the stackable thread is now processed after unstackable ingredients to prevent it from being dropped on the ground if the player has a full inventory.
That's good.
Yeah, because you can kind of see the cases where things like that would happen. The quantity of mined porcelain can now also be increased by buffs such as the honed perk and the shooting star effect. Again, another thing bringing up the amount of porcelain we were talking about. So, I always run honed on my pickaxes. So I don't know if everybody else does that, but that'll help there. And I think we're slowly inching in the direction that these urns are becoming more viable based on where they were before.
Yeah,
they've gotten better since release.
Masterwork magic gloves and boots now require pearlescent plate each rather than a pearlescent plate and a lined plate each. And the Masterwork magic hat now requires 2 pearlescent plates. And the interesting thing about this is it doesn't really, change the place of the Masterwork items that are in here, but it takes it up one more level in terms of the tree that's there. And the reason that I think that this is important is due to what we were talking about when people are going to be picking and choosing what pieces of Masterwork they make. I feel like this change this week kind of standardizes it from where it was at previously on this. So the thing is that to make the lined pearlescent plate, that's where you add the dyed undead dragon leather into the mix on there. So it's just removing that little bit extra there for that in terms of the gloves and boots, which I guess makes sense because it's not like a I guess a dragon hide ish kind of piece of armor that you wear on your chest or legs or hat. So just a little bit of consistency and streamlining there,
which is what we like.
Yeah. General patch note wise, cleaned up chat messages for the connection lost, attempting to reestablish combat achievement at Raziel, so that players will now only receive a chat message in 15-second intervals while making progress towards the combat achievement. More in-depth timing can still be viewed with an unfiltered chat. I'm not going to explain how this thing works. It took me until even, just a week and a half ago when I was looking at Raziel again to realize how this one works. So I'm not going to explain this here. If you want to know exactly how this one works, you can head on into the to the wiki and get a full explanation on that. Iron Man accounts can now use their own Prism of Salvation. That was something that was missed since the beginning. We could not use our own Prisms of Salvation from the Elven spells.
Now we can. That's good.
Players can now also use a Legendary Pet's Banking ability and the Pakyak's Winter Storage ability beyond level 30 Wilderness, provided they're not opted into PvP.
That's a good
cool
one.
Yeah, that's
Considering the Wilderness, garbage was removed like 3+ years ago at this point in time, or about 3 years ago at this point in time, I think this is a welcome change to just finally saying, hey, let's just put the Wilderness to bed.
Yes.
Shark Soup is now
reclaim the Wilderness.
Shark Soup is now correctly consumed when using the Eat Food ability.
Good.
A menu option to toggle receiving strange rocks has been added at the Museum of Curators. This should save navigating the dialogue options in order to get the toggle. So it was an option before that just brought it to the front. And here's a big one that we saw when the invention update came out and raised a few eyebrows. The Naturalist perk no longer overrides an existing Star Sprite mining buff.
Big one.
And the reason for that is that Star Sprite mining buff is something like an hour long. But if you use the Naturalist perk, Oh, you're overriding it with a 60-second buff.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ow. Ouch.
Yes. It might be worth looking at the Naturist perk now.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We like that one. And here's one of my favorites because I don't like cats. It is no longer possible to cast alchemy spells on the witch's cat.
You could tell. Witch's cat.
Yes.
Oh, damn.
I don't know how this would have been in there because I feel like, countless times over the years they've taken passes on alching the supposedly living bodies that come from quests and whatnot. They also fixed an unreachable fishing spot in Shiloh Village, which was after the graphical updates there.
Mm-hmm.
And patch notes doing heavy work this week. They fixed an issue with a Waiko fisherman NPC whose fishing line appeared to have been wrapped around the rod rather than dipping into the water. As a result, the line itself has been removed to give the impression of fishing taking place. Note, there are other fishermen NPCs dotted around the place. However, none seem to be engaging in actual fishing, so the fishing line appears to be on their models as normal.
Okay. Someone has been really looking intensely at NPCs and environments.
I hope you haven't.
Not something you and I would probably notice, Tanis, with our eyes.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, we were talking about eyesight in pre-show and just how it's getting difficult to see all the little, detailed things and whatnot. But and a number of weird edge cases with crystallize and dwarven tools. In particular, when cutting logs while using crystallize with the dwarven chain axe set to resource mode, the resources are converted to XP, and charges for the chain axe are not used. So, reading into this, if you were crystallizing and using a chain axe, you could still get the resources for it.
Oh. Well, not anymore.
No. When mining ore while using crystallize and the dwarven ram hammer set to damage mode, XP is gained, and the charges of the ram hammer are not used. And then finally, enable the use of the power burst of acceleration in the wilderness while opted out of PvP.
Again, another nice one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not that does anyone use power burst of acceleration? But anyway.
God, what did I use it for? The chimp ice thing.
Ah, yes.
That's one. Another case, if you really wanted to, would be if you were having problems, is that you could use it in the city of Sentistan Quest for retrieving the shadow things from far away.
Oh, true. Yep.
But engine support, and this just kind of crept in here. Added engine support for leagues.
Oh,
nice.
So we don't exactly know what they're going to do with it, but the fact that it's in the engine now
it's there,
and they're rolling these in suggests that, it is probably going to hit on time. I don't necessarily know what their time scale for it is. I always feel like the old school ones typically work very well when they launch mid-November. So maybe they'll go for that. Maybe they'll go a little bit earlier. Maybe, they'll go in September based on this, but I don't think so. We probably would have heard about that by then. So I'm thinking late October, mid-November probably for something like this. But what I remember them saying at some point is that when it comes to big, tentpole features like this that are new for the engine, they like to put the support in over time. Because what that does is it lets them add just little bits and pieces of it and make sure that nothing drastically breaks.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. They also added engine support for improved VFX in future content, and my guess on this is probably something to do with the upcoming quests or the Amasket boss later this month.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they made RuneScape available in the French App Store.
Will Polly Vu wee wee.
Which makes sense because the game
French,
has
right?
a localization to French. And finally updated the mobile loading screen from Nomad to a new image. And you know what the thing is with the reason we have this loading screen? Back when they were doing their market research testing for the initial launch of mobile in 2021, I think mobile was, they did a whole bunch of market research around RuneScape's key imagery, like Harry Ann and whatnot, and it found that the one that was the most engaging on a login screen, that had the highest success rate of having people follow into the game, was actually that Nomad image that had been there since the very beginning. So that's why we were graced with that Nomad image of all the images that they could have used of the RuneScape IP.
Okay, interesting.
But
see, I would have thought it was the what's her name, the big
Ariane?
boob one, smithing. No, the one who
Lindsay?
ended up becoming Linza. There was one where she was smithing and had the big boobs out and that. I thought, the boys will love that one.
yeah, and I'd imagine that there's a portion of the population that feels that way, but I think at this point, given the fact mobile has been out so long, just theming it to whatever the update of the day is probably better than just having this random image of Nomad appearing after all these years. So
yeah, I like that as you come in and you've got that new screen. Because it gets you excited about the new content. So I do appreciate those ones.
And that's it for the patch notes this week. Not too much in there of major consequence this week. Biggest thing,
some nice ones,
of course, is the Ritualist outfit. If you're looking for a little bit of extra necromancy XP, and you have the ectoplasm spare. But let's talk about farming. Let's talk about
good
farming.
thing, sorry, just to go before we do that, for main accounts, if you're not on Iron Man, ectoplasm is buyable as well. So you can, if you've got the spare gold lying around, you can.
It's not really an issue for that, but it's like I have 120 necromancy already. So what's the point in me buying it right now on the main rather than just waiting for the DXP store?
Exactly.
So. All right, back in time, July 11th, 2005, farming skill. Previously, they added the month before, as we discussed on our first ever podcast. Last month, we recapped that, and then we also, of course, went way, way back to episode 1 when we discussed the new seeds and nests and everything that came out with it. It was a month after that they actually added the skill to the game. And I just want to read a bit from the news post for everyone. The farming skill allows you to grow a wide range of resources from seed to harvest for use in cooking, crafting, and herb lore, as well as simply growing your own food. The skill centers around a new addition to the world of RuneScape, the farming patch. There are a number of different types of patches, vegetable, tree, and herb being some of these, and are located right across the world map, indicated by the spade icon. And then it goes into talking about the 4 main areas where you can get started, being Falador, Catherby, Ardoyan, and Port Phasmates, as well as all the farming shops that were nearby. And then they talk about all of the other things that they have added with it, including the new brewing section of the cooking skill, as well as breweries in Keldagrim. And, kind of thinking back on it, we didn't really use brewing for that much, did we? I don't know. Was it ever like a main method of cooking XP, Tanis, that you can remember?
No, I can't think of anything.
No, it wasn't. And the biggest thing, of course, came from high-level herb lore, which they mentioned in the news post as well, about extra strong and super strong antidotes and weapon poisons, which contain some of the more toxic plants that can be grown using the farming skill. They also then, of course, mentioned craftable fruit baskets and vegetable sacks to carry all those around. That's the addition to the crafting skill. Using magic, you can make the new Amulet of Nature. And they then also reminded people about the master farmers with their seeds that they provided. And that was the beginning. That was the beginning of farming on July 11th, 2005. And I don't think either of you were here for that. No.
No.
So, what we're going to do for this segment is go into a bit of the discussion about farming, talk about where seeds were sourced, the prices of seeds, how they've fluctuated over time, how farming can be used as a moneymaker, and farming's place in RuneScape, which is something that was very controversial at the beginning of the series when they brought that in. Do either of you have any early farming memories or early thoughts just based on the thesis of the skill here that we've laid down?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, when I started interacting with farming, and it was, trees, herbs, allotments, I can't say that it was really, I was really that into it. It always felt like I had to stop what I was doing to go do farming. So as I have seen it change over time, it's actually continued to rise in my hierarchy of skills, because I feel like it's gotten better and better till we're at where we are now.
Yeah, and the thing that really resonated with me back then for it is that I was still a student at the time, right? So farming let me have a schedule for RuneScape before I would go to class, on a break from class, at lunch, and after school, and before bed. Because I could, plot in and say, when are we doing the trees? When are we doing the herbs? When are we doing the fruit trees? And are there any other little miscellaneous bits and bobs that I can put in place? And with that, I was able to, in effect, come up with schedules that worked for me, spreadsheet them, and it was just repeating those spreadsheets daily and really not needing to be logged in to get the XP is what sold me on the skill, when at the time a lot of the people weren't fans of it.
I mean, for me, when I first started, farming I thought it was a really good skill because it was unique. As you said, it was that one, okay, I can get up in the morning, plant my seeds, at work, when I have my morning tea break, morning coffee, I can just log on, do a quick farm run to pick up all my herbs, plant another lot, which I can then grab at lunchtime. And then when I get home after work, after dinner and get the kids settled, I sit down, okay, just do a farm run, get your herbs going before you get into everything else. That's when you did your trees and everything as well. It was a unique skill. It wasn't like any other skill because it was that sort of, I hate to say time gated because that is a negative thing, but it was something that you could do, just get a quick 5 minutes, come back later on and get that big chunk of XP off it. So farming has always been in my top 5 skills for that reason, that it was unique.
And in many ways, it was the first mobile-friendly skill of the game before smartphones even existed. Which is quite the statement in itself. And we're going to go into all of these things, and we talked about rune crafting in a similar way a couple monthly bits ago about this, and we thought maybe at some point we might do this for farming, because that was an idea that actually came from that. But I decided at the 20th anniversary we'll just do that. That was monthly bit 83 at the top of June, which I think now is a good time to thank our Patreon members. But before that, does anybody here, and you guys don't know this, so I can ask you to take an educated guess. I have 2 questions for the both of you. When do you think I got 99 farming? And what rank do you think I was?
Oh, wow.
In the farming scale?
I know you had a competition with, I think it was one of the co-hosts at the time when it came out. I think it was Chief Snake, you were sort of doing a competition with. It might have been someone else before that, but I know you were in a competition to see first to 99 on it. I would say it took you 12 months.
All right, tennis.
And ranking.
I say, oh, sorry, Bern, go ahead.
Yeah,
And ranking, I think you might have made top 500.
All right.
Yeah. I'm going with 1 day to 1 week after Earth, and
I beat him. I'll just tell you that right now. I beat him.
I don't like that. So, and 893 rank.
All right. It took me 2 years and 2 months to get 99.
Oh wow!
I got 99 on September 23rd, 2007. And my rank in the skill at the time, 389.
Oh shit!
So I was
top 500.
I was top 500 to 99 farming.
And that was 2 years.
Yeah.
That was back when you actually worked for skills. You worked for 99s.
Oh. Oh.
Now we can max an entire account in a year.
And my one regret is that I let off the gas in going for 120 and 200 mil. Because had I known how big 120s and 200s were going to be, and then when people started going for 5.2, 5.4, 5.6, now 5.8 bill XP, I should have kept going because I could have maintained that top 500 to 200 mil.
Well, that's a tall order.
But also remember, this is kind of my skill because I did Fresh Start Worlds and I was ranked 68 in all Fresh Start skills in farming.
Yeah,
I could have been higher, but I stopped to do archaeology. So, but I just wanted to share a little bit of the facts around that, and how that became my favorite skill. And I still like to call it my favorite skill, but in terms of what I could just throw myself into these days, archaeology is coming kind of close to that. But we already talked about archaeology from the GIM perspective. Anyways, Patreon supporters. Yes, of course. Starting off, I'd like to just give a big, huge thank you to Alvaro L., Amos Reed, Arvids L., Bladecom, Chilbura, Dominic R., Duramax, Guy Lafleur, Imperialis, Jade Gizmo, Jake M., Jason S., Jesse W., Kesky, Lemon Lodge, Luminos, Michelle M., Mongrath, Necromatus, Parnassius, Ricky A., Robbie D., Runestar, R. Man NZ, Samuel FL, Scott DS, Shirt Pats, Sly Oasis, Snail Mage, The Naked Captain, The Dabbing Goat, Ukulele Steve, Woody, Zant, and Zazakon. Big, huge thank you, everybody. And, of course, the goodies for the 20th anniversary of the podcast have started to arrive to our experienced tier members. It'll be up to them if they want to show those off, if they want to keep it close to their chest. But a big, huge thank you to all of our people who have carried us this far through the podcast. If you want to be one of those, you can start for as little as $1 a month. Get access to our monthly bits, including the one on rune crafting that we talked about that we recorded at the start of June. Patreon.com/RSBANB. You'll also get a mention in the show notes. Access to all the monthly bits, in addition to the most recent one, and the ability to vote on topics when we do that. We also have the VIP tier, where for $3 a month, you get a VIP rank on Discord, including chat channel access, a mention on the podcast at the start of the month, and of course, high-quality stereo versions of the podcast. And for $5 a month, should you want to give that, that's our insider tier. You get a shout-out on the podcast each and every week, and you gain exclusive access to the outtakes that we use to make the clip show at the end of the year. And there'll be one on this podcast episode about vision testing from the pre-show there. So I can already guarantee that. But Patreon.com/RSBANB. Thanks so much, everybody. Glad to see so many of you and the experienced here getting your goodies and enjoying them. So thank you so much, everybody. And that's limited to 15 slots. We shout it out if there's ever an opening. Sometimes there is every few months or so. But thanks so much, everybody. It means the world to us to allow us to talk about things like farming.
Thanks, guys, and also nice to see a few new names in there too.
Indeed.
And I need to pull you up. NZ.
Oh, I know.
NZ.
I'm just playing with both you and RR Man there.
We say it properly. Forget what Thaxi says.
All right. So starting off, we of course talked about the sources of runes first. So we're going to talk about the sources of seeds first. And that update that launched in June 2005 added pickpocketing and nests in the pre-launch, which a lot of people stocked up on. But it later came to be known that the best sources of seeds were Slayer and PVM. And, that's something that still really hasn't changed to this day, has it?
No, I mean, Slayer is a great source for seeds, which I use it for herbs all the time, but I think seeds suits it better and leave the growing to the actual herb to the farming skill. And the one thing I wish is that to this day that they'd increase the drop of torstal seeds. But other than that, I thought Slayer and PVM was a good source for it.
Yeah, and you mentioned the torstals, and if we can bring it back to the group Iron Man, torstal is the one we've had the most problem with.
Definitely. I've even gone and done Big Game Hunter because they say it's a reasonably common drop there.
Yeah, how'd that go?
In 69 kills, I've gotten 15. I've only had because they drop it in lots of 5. I've only had it 3 times in 69 kills.
And when I put that into one patch, that's really only 1.5 batches.
That's not even seeds. That's just the torstals themselves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, seeds are nigh on impossible.
Yeah, and I mean, unfortunately, the best thing for this is getting nerfed next week, and that was the other thing in the update is that the game health update is coming on Monday. The best source of these torstal seeds previously was Raziel,
and they're taking it off her.
Which is that
it. However it identifies.
And see, I don't think seeds are a problem because I'm all for taking the herbs off of the tables, but not the seeds.
Yep.
Well, to be fair, having done close to 1,500 Raziel, I can say that the torstal drop was very common, and might have been too much. I don't know if I would have gutted it to the point that they did in those notes. I maybe would have halved it. But
I mean, it's fine to take them off if it's too common on one creature. Fine, take them off, but you've got to spread it out across others.
Right, because if I just look at the list here of droppers of torstal seeds, our best bets aside from that are Nex and Hard Mode Virago.
Exactly.
I hear you laugh, Dennis.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I found that amusing.
Especially with your higher level Slayer creatures now. I mean,
it's a 6 out of 128 drop at the friggin' Calphite King.
Damn. Yeah,
which is a bastard when you got to try and solo him.
Maybe this one in particular might not have needed to be that nerd.
Yeah, I mean, again, off Raziel, which is a sort of a fairly high-level boss, but, seeds, I think,
hang on.
should be spread out a bit more.
They should be spread out a bit more, but I do have to say, as somebody on my main who can, kill Raziel to the point of getting kill times down to about 1:15 seconds or so, the 5 out of 128 drop rate with 40 was too much.
Yes.
It's just painful for us on the group Iron Man side. And this issue maybe didn't exist before when farming came out for a very interesting reason. And that interesting reason was that at the time, the only potion that used torstal when farming came out was the Zamorak Brew. Because overloads came later.
I remember doing a Dagonoth's task back in the early days, and I got a Torstal seed drop there. I was super excited because it was like 227k, and I was saving for a whip. And I mean, people say 227k, that's nothing, but this is back when whip was one of the best weapons for melee, and that was like 1.2 mil, and I was saving up to get myself an abyssal whip. So, getting that Torsal seed was like, oh, I was so excited. The first Torsal seed, and 227k, and going and just putting one seed in the bank and selling it for that amount.
And it presently is worth 949 GP. One seed.
I know. That's what I mean. Make it more common for us. Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, that shows you how much is coming. Because, I mean, Raziel is a very popular boss. So it obviously shows that there is an issue on those higher level bosses with those type of drops. And they should be spread out. I mean, seeds to me should be a Slayer drop, probably not a boss drop.
No, and I mean, when you look at early level Slayer, you are inundated with seeds. Granted, you probably don't want to plant those seeds in this day and age. That's a separate problem with the farming skill right now. But early Slayer is inundated with those seeds, I will say. So,
yeah, but they're all the crappy seeds like the Guams and the Taramans and the Harlanders that you don't really use.
But here's the thing we learned with Iron Man is that you kind of want Guams.
Guams are brilliant.
Yeah. But I think they did hit the sweet spot, in particular early on, by leaning into that Slayer side of it. Because do you guys remember the origin story of the Aqua Knight?
I don't know the origin story, but I know it's a seed producer.
Yeah, exactly. It was a player-driven pulled content update. The whole reason of adding Aqua Knights was to add another seed dropper.
Well, it was
Aqua Knights were a great. Yeah, for people who didn't like doing their farm runs, Aqua Knights were a great one with the seed aside. I mean, it was like 70k an hour.
That's how I did it.
Yep.
And I scowled at everybody who did that method in warbands.
I hate warbands, but yeah, but I mean, we also did have Shane's favourite in the Livid Farm.
I didn't include that here because I don't see that as a farming training method. I see that as because I see that. Well, I was trying to be objective with that because I see that primarily as not something you do for farming XP. I see that as something you do to unlock the lunar spells.
Yeah.
In reality, so
it is. Yeah.
I
mean, a lot of people complained about it. I enjoyed it, but I would do like an hour or so at a time and then go do something else.
Yeah, and
for people
and to be fair, you weren't doing it
hours.
when they have the. You probably did it before they have the points of everything.
Yeah, I did it when it was when you needed 1 million points. So, and then a year later they changed it to 500,000 to unlock everything, and they gave me 500k points back, and I'm going, gee, thanks. What use are these?
for the eventual expansion when we go back to do a lunar quest.
Let's hope so.
But overall, the seeds I think have been sourced okay into the game, and that really brings us to the question of what does the seed economy look like over time, and for that I have a handy dandy chart here. And you guys can't see this. I probably should have sent this to you guys before we began. That probably would have been a good thing to do. I'll post that in chat right now. But effectively, what this is for people who are unaware, or no, look at that. I did post that in chat earlier. It's in the usual chat there. What this is for people who are watching on the video version is you can see what's called an index for all seeds in game. That effectively starts off at 100, or the baseline, and then over time it shows how through inflation and through general game updates the prices of seeds goes up. And what we saw was that if we look from 2011 onward, seed prices actually continue to just go down. We did have early on, pre-2010, oddly, given the amount of bots that were in the game and doing woodcutting, I guess they weren't. I guess they weren't taking their nests and putting them on the GE with their seeds.
Well,
we did have the price
time,
of seeds go up over in the early days.
At the time when a nest dropped, you had to physically click on it and pick it up. So that might have been a bit too advanced for bots at the time.
Yeah, that might have been it, because I remember...
Because I missed a lot, because you'd sort of... Woodcutting was one of those sort of semi-AFK skills, and, you know... Yeah. And you nest, and then you'd have to sort of swivel your camera to see where it is, because they weren't easy to see on the ground, and... yeah, but, you know, nowadays, especially with the Grove 3, where it just picks them up automatically for you.
Yeah, because would you believe that once upon a time... about 3 years after farming launched in 2008, a magic seed was about 180k.
Yeah.
Because I can remember them being about 200k.
Yeah.
I remember going and hunting for them when Ganodermics come out, and, you know, just because Ganodermic, a 96 Slayer, I think it was, 94, 96, something like that, and getting, you know, I was making like 8 mil an hour at Ganodermics, just because of the amount of magic seeds and such that they were dropping.
Yeah. And then over time, you know, like if we fast forward, I'm looking at 2008 right now, in the end of 2008, they're down to about 160. But over time, they did do that shoot up in 2009 again to, you know, around, like you were saying, Tanis, 200k. At one point in April 2009, they hit 300k, believe it or not. But over time after that, the price of the magic seed in particular just started to dwindle over time. It had a good run through the late 2000s, but it started to drop when it started to appear on PVM bossing drop tables. Which, I mean, I don't necessarily know if that's a good thing or a bad thing on the seed market. I think if I was looking at it right now, from my perspective, I would say that lower seed prices are good.
Farmers, yes. For the people who are hunting for the seeds, no.
Well, but see, that's the thing.
And yeah,
there's the inherent question. We can talk about allotment seeds coming from Slayer, herb seeds coming from Slayer, but when it comes to things like the tree seeds and the fruit tree seeds, the question is, should those have come in mass quantities from PVM?
And that was the thing when you say that mass quantities, because, you know, when they release creatures like Ganodermics and such, I mean, the amount of palm seeds and magic seeds that they were dropping was, I mean, as I said, 8 mil an hour. That, you know, that was boss level money back then.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think, and it's the same with a lot of things where, again, as power creep for PVMing went up, so did drop tables. You know, we're getting too many herbs, too many seeds, too many logs coming in via that rather than from the skilling side of things themselves. And I mean, obviously, it's a very hard thing to balance, but once they've done it, it's hard to nerf.
Well, and think of who it benefits, right? Because the same people getting the drops are the same people. It's keeping those supply costs down, right? Those potions cost a hell of a lot more if a seed costs, you know, 500k, right? Like, so, I mean, in the end,
right? And see, back in the day, we were looking at a yield average with high 80s into the 90s farming of about 7 herbs per herb seed if it survived. Which today it's, you know, drastically off the charts for a myriad of reasons, but
again, one of those updates, Gardener Grid, where, you know, you can sort of well, they plant extra, but I mean, there's
Yeah,
things
and I
and
mean,
outfits and all that. Like on average, I think on average now I get probably 10 or 12 per seed.
yeah, and I mean, if we fast forward to November 2022 when that started, we look at in particular. I didn't include the herb seeds on this index. I just included the fruit and wood. I should have been transparent about that up front. It wasn't all the seeds, but if you look at in particular where we were at the time on any of the herb seeds for that, which is an easy thing to pull up, and I'll just pull up Toadflax because that's one of the most common used for training, and of course all the potions that people want to come into the game for that. If I pull up the whole grand picture of this, and if I go back to the tail end of 2022, what happened to the price of Toadflax seeds is that they actually went up. They went up from a grand total of 667 GP per seed in early September 2022 to, if we go to December, they went up to 3,200 GP. Just because of the demand for people wanting to farm their own seeds.
Yeah, well, they had to farm their own herbs. They couldn't just go do PVM anymore.
And that that update itself was a very, very controversial update at the time.
Mm-hmm. But we had been calling for it for years.
Yeah,
before.
and Mod Jack talked about it at one point, and he said it was a success, which is not something the community liked in his stream when he said that. You gotta wonder if there's ever going to be another like that. Somebody who's just willing to say what needs to be said, even if the community's not going to like it. But I digress. The question of seeds over time, you can, look at any seed that you want, really, and you come to the realization, the general trend that I'll just put here on the table right now is that when you look at the mid-2010s and we see the emergence of modern PVM as a source of money-making in RuneScape, overall the amount of seeds coming into the game increased, pushing the price of seeds down. And, that was okay, I think, from me, for the farmer perspective.
And seeds going down, I didn't mind because obviously the farmer should be the one taking those seeds, planting them, and getting those herbs back out to the PVMing community in the form of the potions, or letting them make their own. Like at the time, obviously extremes and overloads you had to make yourself. So rather than them having to plant them all and wait, sell the seeds to the farmers grow them, put the herbs back on, and they can buy the herbs or mix the potions themselves, and they can just buy the potions direct. It was a good symbiotic relationship between PVM and Skiller.
Yeah, and I don't think that there was ever a problem with that portion of the economy. I just wish, as a farmer, it was easier, and I think that they have improved on this. I just wish it was easier to get the wood and the tree seeds from wood cutting, which they did with all the grove updates and whatnot. So
yeah, the new Seed Plus nests and things have really helped a lot.
Yeah. All right. Now, that naturally leads to a question on money making for the skill. And, without a doubt, there have always been a good number of ways to make money with farming. The first, of course, is the herb farming, which has always been a moneymaker. It has been a Trojan horse of a moneymaker to the point that I was doing enough herb runs back in the day when I was first getting 99 to fund my own seeds. It's not as though, I was, doing PVM at the time. It was something that a lot of people didn't realize, because people kind of thumbed their noses up at it at the time of, going, 4 or 5 times a day, going to what was 4 or 5 herb patches once the Trollheim one came out, and just planting seeds. People didn't like feeling the need to do that. But boy, was it good money, and it still is good money today. And if I just pull up the calculator on the wiki that allows you to see exactly what the yields are of all the seeds out there, you'll be surprised that a lot of the herb seeds that are available actually yield a profit, believe it or not. Right now, according to the wiki, the only ones that don't yield a profit are the gout tubers, Terroman, and Guam.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
No.
Yeah, or the 2 lowest seeds. But I mean, you look at something like a dwarf or a lantadime seed. I mean, the potions that they're using those higher levels, I mean, lantadimes are now under 1,000 GP. Dwarf seeds, I think, are around 2K. Now, the herbs themselves, sell for a lot more than that. And I mean, let's have a look at a dwarf. There's 2,100 for the seed. The herb itself sells for 5,800. And now you're averaging 8 to 10 herbs. So
well, that's what it used to be. That's what it used to be back in the day. Right now, if you're level 120, you're averaging 45 dwarf weed per patch at level 120.
Wow. Okay, yeah. So for that 2,000 GP investment on your seed, you're getting 5,800 times 45.
Are you missing an order of magnitude here? The wiki says that a dwarf wheat seed is presently 20K.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
When did that go up?
I don't know what you're looking at.
I am looking dwarf wheat seed. GE value 2,107 coins. That's on the wiki.
Oh.
Grand exchange for 1 seed, 2,107 coins.
Okay, this calculator has not been updated then recently with the recent seed prices.
Yeah, and then the dwarf wheat itself, is 5,857.
See, I never batted an eye at this page, and I always just used this page as a quick lookup. But the fact that the dwarf wheat is off by an order of magnitude, what the heck's going on here?
I said dwarf weed seeds. Dwarf seeds haven't been 20K for years, and that's it. I mean, and you do a run of
but it doesn't.
5 and you're
it doesn't change the fact that you're looking at 45 dwarves per.
Well, say that's at 120. Say the average person say you've got 99, so you're getting, I mean, if I do a run,
I figured out what's going on here.
What have you done?
That's factoring in the price of Ultra Compost, the Juju Farming Potion, and everything else on the list.
Okay.
That's what's going on there. That's our differential. Okay, I thought one of us was going crazy.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's fair enough. Even if you factor in all of those,
but even if you factor in that, for one patch, you're looking at 249K profit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you do that over 5 patches. There's $1 million profit every run.
Now do that 5 times a day.
Exactly.
A little something.
For what's 5 minutes, 5 times a day?
Yeah, easily.
Bang.
Easily done in 5 minutes. And you want to know the clincher on this is that if you play old school, it's better than this.
Really?
Yeah, I remember you telling me you financed a lot of things through your herb runs over there.
Yeah. So And
that was only Toadflax over there too, wasn't it?
Yeah. I was going Toadflax as a safe option, but you know, the yields aren't expanded as much because we don't have the plant powers. We don't have that. We don't have the same multipliers with Ultra Compost. It's slightly different there. We don't have the aura. We don't have the Juju Potion, that sort of thing associated with it. But it still is a good moneymaker. And also, I'll say that while the Archglacier seed printer was active, Spiritweed seeds, that was always another safe bet. As were the Toadflax. Those were my two safe ones always, was Spiritweed and Toadflax. The Toadflax for the brews, but the Spiritweed seeds not for the summoning potions, but for the incense that people would make with them.
Okay.
So, but you know, anybody who is a mid-level, this is your best skilling moneymaker in any version of RuneScape. You can also, when you look at farming, if you want to look at, you know, doing a few of the more niche things that are out there. This one kind of slipped into the patch notes a few months back, but they made it so that the Nightshade patches use the same mechanic as the herb patches do, so now you get a boatload of Nightshade whenever you harvest from the Nightshade patch. And the reason I mentioned that is because weapon poison is always going to be in demand. So again, another moneymaker out there. Pair that with the coconut that comes from the palm tree, and then the poison ivy berries. Instant ecosystem of money making, and you know, maybe this is also part of the same reason why I like archaeology, is because it's just this neat ecosystem within the skill that you know can lean on with, you know, using herb lore as a bit of a tool. So the general thing that I'll say is that just look towards the herbs, but also look to, you know, a few of the more niche things that are out there, like the Nightshade and the weapon poisons. But another thing that tends to come and go, and, you know, I was surprised by this when this came out, is that, you know, we typically look towards God grapes as something that is good to do and, you know, good to sell off if you're looking to make money with the wine of Saradomin, right? But
yep,
regular grapes were also good too when those seeds came out, because just like churning butter, making wine has always been one of the stealth cooking methods out there. And the fact that you can now farm grapes en masse completely changes that. So,
turning water into wine.
Exactly. But those are, I think, the main money-making things that I wanted to highlight with farming. I don't necessarily know if either of you have any other things you'd like to pull on or ask about on the money-making side.
They are the core ones, but then there's also, with sort of recent updates, like the Hetz Oasis, you know, picking the flowers and
golden roses.
That's sort of, yeah, using the hunter skill. I mean, yeah, powders of burial and such. I mean, they're another nice little moneymaker, and you know, it's a nice AFK. I mean, as a farmer, if you're just looking at getting your farming up, okay, you do your farm run, you go plant yourself down there, pick a few of those flowers. You can sell the flowers on the GE for people who want the hunter stuff. I mean, they make decent money. Obviously, doing the hunter and turning them into the powders yourself is exponentially more money. But yeah, as a whole, farming, I think, fits in very nicely across the board, and it touches a lot of skills. It's not just the PVM skill for the potions. I mean, it touches things like prayer. It touches so much.
I also need to talk about profit on the player-owned farm.
Yeah.
Obviously, dinosaur roars are there. I've made 500 mil this year from my player-owned farm passively.
But I mean, again, and I do think they missed the boat with the farm and the ranch.
Oh, we'll talk about that.
Yeah,
That's
by
next.
not making those.
Yeah.
But farming as a whole, I think
It's a money-making
great
skill.
all-round skill. It's a fun skill. It's a unique skill. It's not a cut-and-paste skill. It's unique in the way it operates on its own. It's a good money-making skill. It's an engaging skill. It's not the same thing over and over. It's always been in my top 5 and probably top 3 skills.
Yeah. If we're talking about farm products that, generate money from the ranch and the POF, starting off at the low level, again, this one is slept on, but honeycombs.
Another one, yep. Forgot about the honeycombs.
Because they can be used to, increase the health of animals, and not many people provide them. So there's that. And then, we had a recent gold rush, and this one's dying down a bit right now, but all the different colored wool from the sheeps.
Yes.
The one that is consistent for me at the POF is the yak milk. And I'm at the point on my main where, every day I'll log in there and I'll just see if there's any new yaks that have been born, and if it's a male, I discard it, and then if it's a female, it goes into the other pen and it produces milk. And you don't even need food for that, because the amount of milk you get is not governed by the happiness of the animal at all. So that's another passive moneymaker right there. And same thing goes for the dinosaur farm as well. Is I just have that set to generate dinosaur roars, and like I said, the POF and the ranch have netted me close to 500 mil so far this year, just sitting there.
Yeah, well, my yaks on my main, I mean, they both have the joyful and immune. The breeding pair have immune and joyful, so they never need to be fed. They stay at 100% all the way through, so they pretty much breed every cycle. Because they're not.
Yeah.
I mean,
so what you do
the thing with their health will affect their breeding cycle.
Are you also using? Are you also using one of the breeding traits there? Because you could throw Studley on there to increase the breeding rate.
Yeah, I think Studley is the other one I have on that. They're all triple, but the main ones are and that way every breeding cycle pretty much. I mean, I'll probably miss 1 in 10. In the breeding cycle where it won't actually breed. The breeding pen will always breed them, obviously. But yeah, that's what I mean. Farming is such a well-rounded skill.
Yeah, and
as I said,
and I don't even need to talk about, I can talk about the old school stuff, but to give you an idea of the order of magnitude on old school stuff, if you're diligent about your farming runs on old school, you can pretty much afford everything except for the best in slot gear. Everything's just really, one tier
second
below
best
that.
in slot.
Yeah.
Yep. I use second best in slot on just about everything for that reason. Like, as soon as something new comes out, everyone panic sells. Great, I can pick it up at a good price. And it does me fine because I'm not looking at best numbers and things. So, yeah, it's a great passive moneymaker.
Yeah, and if you don't like farming, that is the main reason, I think. To like it, because the identity of the skill and where it sits in game has been something that's morphed over time, and it might not necessarily be in as good of a place now as it used to be, in my opinion, but we'll get there. It started off as the herb lore provider, and I stumped Tannis with this. You were unaware.
Yeah.
You were unaware that herb lore existed in game for 3 years and a bit before farming arrived.
I found it shocking to not have a gathering skill with this artisan counterpart.
Right.
About putting a cart before the horse.
Because before farming, all the herbs came from drops. They came from things that you would just kill, like the Odd Shadow Warrior, Chaos Druids. I don't know if anybody was unfortunate enough to have to go kill Chaos Druids in the Taverley dungeon to get your to get your herbs.
What I used to love.
Am I dating myself with that comment?
That must be. I don't remember having to do that
before my time, but I used to chat to some people who were from the beginning, and they used to go and they'd get all their units, unidentified herbs, and they'd put them on the G as units, and it was like it was a gambling thing. Am I going to get good ones when I start cleaning them, or am I just going to get the crap?
Yeah, and it's good they changed it to grimy because
yes,
scam.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But like I said earlier in the farming special here, the Zamorak brew for a long time until the Saradomin brew came in was the highest leveled potion that was in game, and that was level 78, and that used Torstal. And you might be thinking, well, we rely on Torstals today for our overloads. But the reality of it is that if you go back in time, the higher level herbs like Torstal, Dwarfweed, and Lantatomy were very rare, making Herblore very difficult to train. So as much as farming brought its own ecosystems in, farming actually made Herblore much, much easier to train, because there's this little guy at the bottom of a dungeon in Yanil, the Yanil Agility Dungeon, which at the time was a very high agility requirement of 67. Solaren the Twisted is his name. You'd get to the end of this agility dungeon, and you'd have a sinister key. You'd kill him. After you kill him, you'd get that key. And this would open a chest that would contain 9 guaranteed herbs. 2 Haralander, 3 Ranner, there's your prayer potion, 1 Irrit, which is, of course, your super attack, 1 Quorum, which is your super strength, 1 Avanto, and 1 Torstal. And the big one that everybody would go for at the time was the Torstal. And that's how we got Torstals back in the day.
That's a rough way to do it.
Yeah, and I mean, this guy came into a game update in December 2002. So that's very, very squarely the old school period. And you can talk to old school players and they'll remember being able to go there and, use that as the main method of getting Torstals. So with the seeds that came in with farming, this kind of method went out the door, thereby making Herblore easier. But that was, one step along the path, because effectively farming as the Herblore provider sat side by side at the beginning with the mob drops. But as we talked about, we get into the mid-2010s, it then exists side by side with a copious amount of PVM drops as well. And what I've done here is I've actually gone back in time on the RuneScape Wiki's history page, and just to give a bit of an idea of how egregious some of these were, depending on your enrage level at Telos would drop between 67 and 1,500 grimy Lantatomies, Toadflax, Torstals, and Dwarfweeds.
Wow, that's ridiculous.
So, in many ways, Telos was the herb printer back in the day if you could PVM. And that's why Garden of Carid was so controversial, because it effectively neutered things like Telos for those herbs that I just mentioned. Likewise, you had, stacks of about 100 Cadentine and Snapdragons from AOD that were about a 115 drop from her. So again, kind of crazy. If we look at Solak provided some herbs as well. Back when herbs were dropped, Solak primarily dropped, and you guys ready for this? At an uncommon rate between 150 and 200 Cadentine and Irrits.
See, and that,
Herbs.
Exactly. If I was seeds...
But wait, it gets better. It gets better with Croesus. You want to hear the Croesus numbers?
Yeah.
Well, Croesus is a skilling
at least
boss,
it is a skilling boss. Yeah, you do have a point.
But because the Croesus kills were about 2 minutes each at a common drop, it was
that quick, are they? Okay.
It was that quick. They were producing, well, maybe close to 4 minutes, I think it was, something to that tune. But effectively the way it was is that Croesus was producing the amount of herbs that Telos was producing at low to mid ranges. Those were Dwarfweed, Quorum, and Toadflax.
See, and that's what always annoyed me, was when the herbs were being dropped. Seeds I don't mind because, feed them to the farmers grow and sell them back. But I always hated that. It's the same as logs. I hate the finished product being dropped by the creatures because we need that symbiotic relationship where the PVMers are feeding the skillers to make the items for the PVMers to use. So it's a big circle.
Okay, 5-minute kill times, let's say, for Croesus. I got my numbers a bit off.
But even still, 5 minutes is, for that type of...
Yeah,
I mean,
and you could get
it shouldn't be doing more than a 5-minute run.
rolls per kill, so that's why it kind of stacked up in that regard. But the most egregious was definitely Telos, and that's how we got to a point here where in the mid-2010s that on the skilling side, farming felt very, very devalued, and that led us to Garden of Carid, which now we see why that was controversial. But it worked. It worked to a point where farming supports herblore entirely.
Yeah. I think it was a successful experiment, and
I love the Garden of Carid.
Yeah, and I think you could continue. I mean, I think it's a model for doing it. Other things,
very successful model.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The next thing I want to see disappear from all the drop logs is logs.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
That's why when they were replacing them with the wood spirits, I was actually happy because it's like, again, something as a woodcutter, I'm going to take those spirits because getting the extra log each time to then feed back, it's worth it. I've always said finished products should not be dropped by the bosses. The parts to make the skilling or to feed the skilling side so that they can do it. So, you're working off each other.
Yeah, and, this all culminated in the removal of the herbs from the drop tables, and like we're saying, that was the good way to go. And I think we've achieved balance on that perspective, because like we said, that there was such a demand to actually farm herbs after that Garden of Carid update that the price of the toad flaxseed, effectively quadrupled there. So, and then some. But I think this is the part of farming that works.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think this next part is in a sustainable spot right now. And that comes to how we get the XP in the skill.
Yes.
Because we started off, like I mentioned, with this being really the game's first mobile and AFK friendly skill, which was a frame a lot of people didn't like at the time. Like I said, a lot of people didn't like the skill because they specifically had to plan when they were going to do it, and they didn't like waiting to a point that they wanted to have, farming timers in the game. Granted, that's not really a problem anymore, but we were looking at, at the higher end, it was about 8 hours to reliably get your magic trees done, and then about 14 or so to have a palm tree done, which really meant that you were only doing one palm run a day, and if you could plan it right, two magic runs a day. And that was really how you maximize the farming skill, unless you were looking to other things at the time, like Wilderness Warbands or the Sorceress's Garden, the squirk juice.
Oh, God, I forgot squirk juice. Yeah. I forgot all about that one. Oh,
flashbacks are terrible.
Yeah. That was
terrible content looking at it now, isn't it?
Well, especially when you consider Australian internet, like you click, but there's always that delay, and you time it perfectly, but if you didn't hit it right on the right sort of the tick point, you were done for.
and see, this is another of those weird old school things, is that the whole business of squirk juice on old school at one point was effectively broken, because players found out that if you put 2,000 people in the Sorceress's Garden, the NPCs couldn't keep up. So you could literally just run through, pick up the fruit, and then be done. So that was a thing for about a month and a half at some point. But what has taken off since then is that there are actually RuneLite plugins that tell you when to click and where to click.
Cheating software, in other words.
I mean, when you look at it from that perspective, yes. But the reality of it is that if you're not using RuneLite, you're playing old school with one hand tied behind your back, which is something I really don't like.
But I mean, really, what's the difference between using that to tell you when to click and running a bot? Really?
Well, you're still making the final input.
Yeah, but still, it's telling you exactly when to click. That's just one step removed from botting.
Right, and those are the plugins that are kind of in the gray area for me, and it's like, okay. But anyways, this isn't the old school discussion on that.
Yeah.
Squirks and warbands were effectively the other option to training farming before Treasure Hunter. And when you put it that way, I didn't like seeing people do either of those because I liked the skill as it was.
Yeah, warbands was the worst thing they ever introduced, in my opinion.
Which takes us to 2018 and the introduction of the player-owned farm. The idea to get more people interacting with the farming skill. And this is where the problems begin in my book.
Yeah,
because they've already nerfed.
I think they really missed the boat.
Yeah,
this could have been the 100 to 120 expansion.
Well, that, but I also think that the XP rates are still too high.
Oh, I mean, I've done hardly any farm runs. Mine have all come from chinchompers, basically, and I am at 103 farming. And that's 99.5% from the farm, just doing chinchompers and
yep. And to give people an idea of how absurd this was, before they nerfed the player-owned farm initially in 2019, I ran a project for 2.5 months, and longtime listeners of the show might remember this. I created a mule account that just sat at the player-owned farm and logged in every day. And I had 99 farming there in 2.5 months, just doing the player-owned farm. And they, changed the XP rates to make it so that happiness and health scales on XP, which I think is good. I don't necessarily know that it's in the right spot right now for both the ranch and the player-owned farm. So the one thing you can do on that is you can either lower the XP rates at the ranch and POF, or what you can do instead is you can find a way to make regular farm runs more valuable. And I think Mod Sponge was looking at that for one of his Game Jam projects, because I think that if you put the effort in, the best XP in the game for the farming skill should still come from doing those daily farm runs.
Yep. Just to let people know, basically the chinchomper, when they're at full health, and you say just buy your woad leaves and keep them in. If you have a breeding pair of chins in your breeding pen and the collector, basically she'll collect the 10, then you take out the 2 that are already in there. That'll fill your 2 little pens with 12. You get 15k per chinchomper at elder level. And if you team that up with your urns and such as well, I mean, every 2 days, basically, 15k a piece for 12 chinchompers plus the urns. I mean, it was just, I was getting a level pretty much every time I logged in on the farm, sort of between 70 and 90. It was just crazy.
And, I think it's good to have the ability to level people up in the skill, but I don't necessarily know if this is at the right speed or if the actual farm runs need to be faster, which is something I'll leave into the hands of the balancing people.
Well, again, with El Kharid, you do skip a growth, one growth period when you unlock it. So
there's also the new necklace that skips another thing that came out with 110 crafting.
So I think they are starting to look at those type of things, and of course, your instant growth potions and things that you can get. But again, I still think the farm should have been that 100 to 120 skill, so the XP drops don't seem so as egregious.
Yeah, and another thing that I'll say with this is that for each account that I've had, each of them has done 99 farming in a different way. The first one, of course, was the traditional farm runs. The skill pier was with the overly powered player-owned farm that I mentioned, and then we had the fresh start, which was Het's Oasis, which we'll get to in a moment, and then the group Ironman, which was the player-owned farm, but it wasn't with the top-tier animals. It was mainly with the Chinchampas, but also the mid-tier things until we got the dragons sorted, because we didn't get dragons going until I was, I think, beyond level 90, 92. So
yeah, I think they're 92. They unlock that, aren't they?
Yeah, and I'm fairly certain I was close to 95 by the time we had the proper breeding animals.
Yes. Well, I got 3 females in a row, didn't I?
Yeah, we had to wait and let them adopt. But Het's Oasis, that was the fresh start method, and not kidding you, up until the competitive period ended, I was at fresh start pretty much every moment I was awake, except for some key periods there, whether that be at my desktop or on mobile. So that was an interesting experience. And, when you look at it from that perspective, maybe it's good to have an AFK farming method like that.
Oh yeah, that I don't mind, because it's nice XP, but it's not overly done, and that's where I think the farm it just gave too much XP.
Yeah, and like we were mentioning as well, the flowers and whatnot was an option there at Vets too. So, but I'm thankful for it. It let me get, like I mentioned, rank 68 on the fresh start high scores, competitive high scores there, which entitled me to the Halo. Kind of wish I continued a bit more to see where I was at. I think at one point I was front page.
Cool. Yeah, you were, actually. I remember seeing that.
So,
nice.
maybe I should have continued that. But overall, I feel like we're good on the economy side. I don't know how I feel about the XP at this point in time. Do either of you have any closing thoughts on that?
No, I 100% agree. XP is too much, and that, again, is solely from the farms. Everything else, I think they have pretty much hit the nail on the head with.
All right. Tanis, any final words?
I've just...
You have a appreciation for the skill?
It's kind of the same. Like, I appreciate the farm. I know you guys are rough on the XP and all that, but I wouldn't like farming as much without it. I was never big on the tree runs and doing that once a day type of thing.
Oh shit! I wasn't ranked 68. I was ranked 61.
Damn, Shane.
But that's it for XP hunters. The farm's brilliant, but again, it does throw out too much XP.
Yeah. Folks listening to this, let us know what you guys think, because I always feel like when we talk about these skills, we can kind of lean in, one direction or another based on our personal experiences out there. And I realize that a lot of people who have not got 120 farming or might not, see the benefits of the money making side of it might feel a bit different on that. So let us know what you guys think on this. Always interested to hear your thoughts on this. And this is pretty much a carbon copy of our last monthly bit episode on the rune economy. So if you like this kind of deep dive, take a look at patreon.com/RSBANDB. We'll be recording the one on ranged next week. We had some scheduling conflicts come up for that, but that one should come out by the end of next week. And did I just do the longest Patreon ad in the existence of RSBNB podcast by doing effectively a mini monthly bit on this episode?
Yeah, I think that's what happened.
Well, with that being said, we have been doing some other fun stuff in game as well. We brought the group dungeoneering back to the forefront last night. I went from level 68 to 72, so closing in on that requirement for Prif, which is 75. Aside from that, got all the stuff in line to get 85 smithing for Sins of the Father. Going to make a rush for 90 necromancy soon to get the next tier of armor associated with it. And in line with the game health update coming next week, I've been spending about an hour, 2 hours a day at Glacier Zero Mechanic as well, just to cash in on the charm printer while it's still active. But
Nice.
that's mostly been my week. I don't know. Let's go with you, Pern, because you got RNG stories.
Yeah, well, I borrowed Shane's horseshoe. I've been going to Gates of Elidnus. I really wanted a memory dowser just to help us out with energy, because it's used for so much, our porters and things like that. So I taught myself Gates of Elidnus again. A little bit rough at the start, but obviously, down to those sort of 4.5 minute kills. And then just under 50 kills, I picked up. I got my first rare drop. I'm thinking great, and it was the memory, the runic Attuna, and I was spewing because it's a 1 in 480 drop. I'm thinking
and 1 in 120 to hit the rare table.
Yes, and I'm thinking bugger. Damn it, I really wanted the dowser, and I said, So I quit for the night, and then I went back the next day and did an early run, and before I did, because I normally just do it once of a night, and I did a run during the day, and then later that night, on kill number 56, get the little message again and hit the memory dowser. So in 56 kills, I got both the runic Attuna and the memory dowser for the group.
Which is just absolutely astounding, given the fact that it's a 1 in 120 to land on that table. So math-wise, what that means with a 1 in 120, you should be at about 370, 380 kills before you're guaranteed to hit that table. If you're having good RNG, you hit it once by the time you hit 1 in 120. You've hit it twice in half of that.
Yeah, so as I said, borrowed Shane's shoe horse for that. Horseshoe.
Yeah, I was hoping you'd get the scripture, because that's the one that I want to run around with.
I'll be going back there, because I actually quite enjoy the boss now. Still don't consider it a true skilling boss, even though it's
a
just
boss.
mining and
we go back to the title for that
boss,
episode.
Yeah.
A boss is a boss.
Exactly. Yeah. I still consider it just a regular boss. Big game hunt. Oh, that was the other thing. I've been running some big game hunter. I think I've done about 70 runs there. I've picked up, got another Matic, so I was able to I've got both a crystal and an Imcando Matic now, so I've just got to get the 250k chronotes to make a Matic out of time and space.
Oh, nice. And I assume that will be bankable after the fact?
That is bankable, yes. So
did we check
if
the Imcando can be wielded by people who don't have Prif, because you got to put a crystal into
there.
that.
Yep, it's in there. I've actually made 2
so you need me to get 80
Imcandos.
archaeology to test that.
Yes, so there is an Imcando in the bank for everyone, which is it's unaugmented. I think Thaxi was going to put whatever augments on it that he deems best, and I've got one for myself. So yeah. And again, really, I mean, Big Game Hunter to me is a skilling boss, and I've been enjoying those. And that's where I've been getting a whole bunch of dinosaur hides, which I'm turning into leathers, which helped out Tannis a bit, and now we've just got to get Tim up to 80 crafting.
Right on. Well, with that, we go to you, Tannis. What have you been up to?
Well, like you said, Shane, did our dungeoneering evening, and I went 57 to 67. So, cruising, a few more times, and I'll get that proof requirement as well. Hit 80 crafting, and now working on div to get that to 80, and we'll have that invention unlocked, and yeah, that's been pretty much what.
You did have a bit of bad news though on the div side, didn't we? With the dowser.
Yeah, yeah. It turns out you got to have 80 to use the dowser, so. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, another thing you also didn't mention is that you got 80 crafting too.
Yeah, I said I got 80
you did.
crafting.
Okay, I missed that. And see, that's the thing is that when I started this thing, I got 80 div as my first invention 80. You're getting it as your last, so you got the hard ones out of the way.
I mean, that's what you guys say, but I don't know. I mean, to me, div is kind of slow, but it's cool. At least it's chill.
Yeah, and I mean when all this stuff lines up at the end of the day, what we have still is, I think, probably the best thing that we were able to do with our group, and set it up in the competitive mode, so we get the competitive high scores and the competitive restrictions for it, but we're all still reasonably engaged with the game. If people need a week off, they're entirely able to do that, and I think that's led to us still being able to push this thing 9 months into the run with it. So I'm glad that we did it this way, and it's getting to me to the point where I feel like I'm just starting to fill out everything again on the goals board, like I showed a few weeks back with Notion, to the point that things are going to really start snowballing in terms of what can I do with PVM, what can I do with quests, and just where is everything gonna land with as we end there. And we also on the group side did a bunch of clean out for the group bank, and we came to the realization that we're actually kind of close as well to the next tier of journey achievement that's going to get us an extra 20 slots inside the inside the group bank, because
which will be very handy.
when we look at that, somebody has to get the hard dungeoneering achievements, and I think Faxi said that's something that he was going to do
on
for that. But if we look at everything else, that's there for that, we need a grand total of about 120 more quest points, which I will be knocking out as I finish off the Elder God Wars arc and then move into the 6th Age and all the other little bits and bobs there. And then we're less than 300 total levels away from the total level requirement, which I'll provide a good amount to with my invention and other skills that aren't at the 70s and 80s yet. And then there's just still a whole bunch of skill bandwidth there that Tannis and Tim are able to provide for it too. So it's something that is easily obtainable, more so than I think we thought it would be when we were just looking at that. So overall, good progress, I think, being made.
Mm-hmm.
Slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah, that's the best way of looking at it. And we, with our dungeoneering session last night, we actually crested to rank 401 from 402. So.
Oh, nice. There you go. We're gonna be sub 400 soon.
Hopefully. But we do have a few of your community achievements as well this week. We have Chimney Axer with 99 Necromancy on July 6th. Parnassius with 99 Divination on the 6th as well on the GIM, and Lampy with 99 Magic on the 3rd. Congrats, everyone.
Well done.
Nice.
And then
Yeah, nice having that 99 divination knocked out, so I can sort of take over the porter making.
Yeah, that's
we'll
good.
share it. Thaxi and I can share it between us now.
Yeah. All right. Pick of the week time. Sirion and I were talking about things yesterday, and he presented this map to me, and I wanted to share it with everybody here on the show, and it's the travel time map. So if you enter in your city, what you can do is that you can effectively see within, say, 30 minutes by public transport, walking, cycling, or car, it will show you exactly where you're able to reach. And then you can drag the pin around to wherever your location is, and you can just completely change it to all the different modes that are available. And the thing that this, of course, highlights is that our North American-based cities are entirely built around cars, and that's the easiest way to move around. And it's actually quite surprising that if you switch to the cycling or walking mode, that even here in Canada, it's able to still get to still get around to a reasonable area. And I'm not going to necessarily dox myself to where I am, but I did do the walking mode for 30 minutes, and it does in particularly show to show where I end up with on mine. So you can find this pick of the week over at app.traveltime.com, or you can find it linked over in the show notes over at update.show. Are there any cities either of you would like me to show off on here on the map version of this as we do this?
No, not really. I'm not a city person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go just chuck in Melbourne, let people have a little look around what's fast becoming one of the worst cities in the world.
What should I do? Should I do walking, cars, transit?
Do walking.
Okay. And if I put it down by the waterfront, it basically says that you could possibly explore the entire waterfront down there within about 30 minutes or so.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. And then if you expand that out to driving, as we'd expect, you have access to most of the city within 30 minutes or so.
No.
Yeah. I don't know. You guys probably aren't that big on public transport down there, are you?
No, it is big, but it's not very well run.
Okay, fair enough. And I won't even begin, Tanis, to talk about the state of public transit in the U.S.
Yeah. What public transit? We have public transit? Where?
Yeah, so this is just a fun little thing to look at, and I think if you included driving and train in Melbourne down there, you get a vast area that you're able to click through, and cycling is a bit wider, but still limited for that. But that's the
public
travel
transport in the actual city is not bad in Melbourne.
Yeah, like that's what it looks like.
But
If I put this on public transit here and I say, 30 minutes right there, the issue would appear for the transit thing is that it's doing it at 10:15 p.m., which is not the time that's there right now. So if I actually set it to a proper time, like 2 p.m. in the afternoon, you get a much bigger map of what's available there for that.
Yeah, especially if you put the thing straight over Southern Cross Station or Flinders Street Station, which are our sort of two big ones, you open up such a big area of Melbourne that's available.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just a really interesting visualization to see what the different perceived ranges are between walking and using public transit, and of course using your trusted car. But that's the travel time map for the pick of the week. Anybody have anything else before we go?
Nope.
Alrighty then. Well, we'll be back next week for the dreaded game health update. I don't know. I don't know if it's dreaded.
We'll see.
I know parts of us have, been wanting to do more. I know I'm happy enough right now with the Glacier because I got enough Crimson Charms from it to get to 75 summoning, which is another Prif requirement for that. So I'm okay with that. I have Blue Charms for after that, but we'll have to wait and see how all that lands, and as with most things, how it feels when it actually arrives. But if you want to hear us talk about that next week, best way to do that is to subscribe, update.show/subscribe. We're on all the podcast listening services out there, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Spotify, and more, as well as YouTube at youtube.com/RSBANB. Do leave a like and subscribe. Greatly helps the show out. I know that's what everybody says, but with an audio first podcast, that is something that is truly invaluable to us. So if you listen on those platforms and you hear this right here, press that little button and subscribe to have this delivered to you each and every week. But thanks to both of you for being here. Hopefully everybody enjoyed our trip down memory lane into Farmingscape.
Loved it.
Yeah. Fun.
I don't know if I can do more of these. Like I don't know if I personally have the knowledge to do Herblore because I wasn't there, in 2002 when Herblore arrived. But farming is a close second to that. Let us know what you thought of that, everybody. But with that being said, we'll see you guys next week for another episode of RSBANB Update. See you then, everyone. Take care.
See ya.
Be scaving all.